Do I really need to say that? Literally, who cares? Hey everyone, it's Fionn and welcome back to my channel, Christnal Eva Chanel, and welcome to another monthly wrap up. I read 4 books in March. I only actually have 2 of them here. And I don't really feel like I've got a lot to say. Like, I really debated with myself about if this was even worth filming. But I don't know if future me would be annoyed if I don't do it. So I'm doing it. I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, let's just get on with it. Not the best reading month ever, but not awful. Pretty standard, I'd say. So the first book I read in March was We the Survivors by Tash Orr. This was actually my February poll winner and I did start it in February, but this book was a slog and I only finished it in March. I don't actually know how long it took me, probably a good couple of weeks. This is a book that I got from my A Box of Stories subscription a few years ago. And I did always think, or at least sometimes, think the back sounded interesting, but not interesting enough to ever reach for it in the 4 or 5 years that I owned it. So make of that what you will. So this book follows Ahok, who is a young man who was born into a Malaysian village, a really small village, and basically we watch him as he grows older into a young man, and it says on the back that I think his life's pretty average for the society that he lives in, and just like a lot of other young men around him, he strives to kind of move away from that village and make something of himself, make a name for himself, but it only actually happens to a few people. And then on the back it says, but what leads Ahok to kill a man? And then it says, We the Survivors is a vivid and compelling description of the years building up to a shocking act of violence, a confession told over several days to a local journalist whose life has taken a very different course. Devastating and poignant, it is a portrait of an outsider like no other, an anti-nostalgic view of human life and the ravages of hope. To me, this was more of a character study, right? So in my mind, we're waiting to find out this shocking act of violence, as it says. Why did he kill a man? What happened? And I spent the whole book waiting to find that out. And then I got to the end and I just never really felt like I did. I got to the end and it still felt quite vague. And I don't know if that was the point. I kind of got like Catcher in the Rye vibes from this book, just in that we're just following this guy as he goes about his day and nothing's really happening. I will say I read that several years ago and I definitely didn't get it. So you can probably just disregard that whole statement. But I just got to this and I was like, okay, what happened? What did I just read? What was the point? And I had considered DNF in this. I'm glad I didn't, but I don't really think I gained anything from completing it either. One of the things about this book is that the chapters were fairly long, like not absurdly long, but they were long. There's no breaks in the chapters. So you're just reading and reading and reading. And I just found myself never reaching to pick this up. I just was not bothered. It's one that I will now be unhauling now that I've read it. I don't feel any need to keep it, but I hope that someone will pick it up who, I guess, gets it better than me and who can appreciate it more than I did. I will say it was interesting to read about Malaysian culture and a person's life lived in a small Malaysian village, because that's not an experience that I am familiar with or can relate to in any way. So I liked that part of it, but the book as a whole just didn't really feel, what's the word? I don't know. I don't have anything to say. I'm just saying words. 2.75 stars. I'm finished. But anyway, next I read a library book called Never Lie by Freida McFadden. This is a thriller book, and was I thrilled? The one big twist definitely got me. That was like, that big twist was definitely a 4-star moment. But I'd say the book on a whole was a little bit lacking. Like, it was good, it was a fun time. Definitely not long lasting for me, not memorable. Which is absolutely okay. A lot of books are like that. And I did enjoy it in the moment, but I didn't feel like I had full closure at the end. Like I feel like there were a few loose ends that weren't quite tied up. Yeah, it was fun while it lasted, and there were a few 4-star moments, but on the whole, I'd say this is probably closer to a 3-star. So for that reason, I think I'm going to settle on a 3.5, maybe 3.75. I just can't decide. Sorry for wasting your time with that absolute nothing of a review. Next, I read this gem of a book, The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I am not much of a fantasy reader. I've read a few fantasy books. Some of them I've enjoyed, some of them not so much, but there's not really been any that I've loved. But I loved this book. I've bought the second one already. I'm really excited to read it. But this book just, it was just so good. I was literally reading it going, oh my god, I loved it. So in this book, we're following Araya, who is a human living in a vampire's world. And they enter into a game, it's called the Kajari. It's a big trial, and they basically have to fight to the death. And there's a little bit of romance that happens, and when I say a little bit, it was like a big part of the storyline, but it also wasn't the whole storyline, and it wasn't thrown in your face, and I really appreciated that about it. Like the first half of the book was, I don't know how to say it, because it wasn't as if it was nothing and then all of a sudden it was something, because I don't think I would have liked that. It was always there, but it was so subtle, and it felt like a natural timeline of the romance building, and I just really enjoyed that. And the excitement of this book in the games and all the stuff going on, the world building, the tension, the found family and the friendships, it was just so good. I really loved it, and I'm really excited to continue the series. My first Carissa Broadbent, definitely won't be my last. Buzzing about this one. I gave it 4.75 stars. Now, there was a few moments, there were 1 or 2 moments where I thought it could be a 5-star. Particularly, I do often find with books like this with a lot of excitement, the big excitement happens like here in the book, right? For example. And then when you get to the very end, they have to start wrapping things up, and then it doesn't feel as exciting anymore. At that point, it went back down to a 4.75. Might be partly because I finished this book when I was really tired. But yeah, I really love this book, and I'm really excited to continue with the series. And then the final book I read this month was Yellowface by Rebecca F. Kuang. Someone lent me this book, so I don't have it anymore because I've since returned it. But this is a book that I really enjoyed, and I didn't know what to expect at all going in. One of the taglines on the front described it as satirical, and I was like, I'm not super sure what that means in this context. How can a book be satirical? But as I was reading it, that is the most perfect description for this book. So we're following, I think her name is June, a very morally grey main character, and basically she's an author, not a very successful author, and one of her friends is a very successful author. She sees this friend die and steals her manuscript and then tries to pass it off as her own. And it's just so silly and ridiculous. Like, it was making me laugh with the outrageousness. But the thing is, I feel like I've described another book like this before, but I can't remember what it was now. But the irony of it made it funny. She's obviously racist, our main character, but she doesn't get that she's racist. It's so like unconscious and just rooted into her as a person that she can't even see that it's there. And I think, hello, embarrassing, what was I saying? Yeah, basically she is horribly racist. Oh, that's what I was saying. So the things that she was saying weren't funny, but like wouldn't be funny if someone was saying them in real life, but because she was trying to portray and put across the point that this stuff happens all the time in real life, it was funny. It was just done in such a good way, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. Did I though? Oh my god, I'm so bad at this. I was just reading it and I was like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. The characters at the beginning were really annoying, and then the one died, so that was like the end of that. But then this main character, June, I was just reading her thoughts like, Seriously. Turn on your brain. Because she's obviously a pretty intelligent woman, but like there was not a lot going on in there. For example, one of the things she said was, people keep calling me racist because I created characters who thought people from a warmer climate wouldn't be good workers. It was something like that. And she went, but that's not my view, so how is that racist? And anyway, is it even racist if it's true? And it was just like, like rolling your eyes at her and just, I guess, like exasperated with her ridiculousness and outrageousness. It was a very thought-provoking read, but written in such a clever, humorous way, and I really liked it. I think I gave it 3.75 stars in the end. And that's all the books I finished in March. So like I said, felt a bit pathetic. Like 4 books is a lot. That's 1 per week. That's plenty, but I don't really feel like I had a lot to say about them. It felt a little bit of a waste of time, like your time, me making this. So you may have noticed I have not spoken about my March poll winner or my March prompt jar pick. That's because I started them both in March, but I haven't finished either of them. So they are current reads to me right now in April. We will see where April takes us, and I have 2 more months left of uni for this year, and then probably a lot more reading will start to happen, but we'll see. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!